Hey guys, what's up? Hey, I want to have a chat to you today about choosing to be a fighter as a career, I suppose you call it. Look, I want to give people some advice of what I wish I had when I was younger, starting out competing and doing what I did. And I probably would have trained a lot different. And would I have fought? I don't even know if I would have fought. But the advice I want to talk to you about is why you want to do it. Are you doing it for the right reason? Look, I believe there's an element of people that compete, that fight, particularly in mixed martial arts, what I would call the cool factor. I've said this before. It's cool to be a fighter and tell your friends you fight in MMA and so forth. Look, there's nothing cool about taking damage to the brain and being elbowed across the head and being hurt. So the advice I wish I got and what I did earlier back in the day, look, I was classed as a pro only because I got paid some money to fight. Did I survive off it? Not at all. I didn't make a career off it like most people don't. Even when you see in the UFC, see in Bellator, some of the paydays these people are getting, they have to work jobs, most of these fighters. So do not kid yourself thinking you're going to turn professional and you're going to make a living off it. It's not going to happen. Very small percentage of people can ever do that. You need to remember that when you're going to start fighting. If that's what you're doing it for the money, choose a different sport. Go elsewhere. Look, I wish I trained a bit smarter. A lot of people do now. Back in the day when I started, a long time ago, it wasn't even many timers put on. It was just spar hit. See who's tougher, see who survives, and you would learn from that. And you'd practice techniques, absolutely. But really, it was more about who was the toughest. And it's the wrong way to go. After a lot of competing and a lot of training, more the training side of it, I believe I have more damage here from the training than even fighting. Too much head contact. I would have trained a lot smarter, would have drilled a lot more in skills rather than taking it. Once you know you're tough, you know you're tough. You don't need to stand toe to toe and be punched and kicked in the face over and over. You've established that. So that's one thing I want to touch on. If you know you've got the toughness, reduce the contact, work more on your skills, more on your drills, and get better at that. Every now and again, hard hit out, absolutely, but you need to be smart about these things. If I got a young fighter coming now and said to me, Coach, I want to fight, I want to make the UFC, I want to be in K1, I want to be in whatever, in kickboxing, I need to assess his ability first. Yes, get the toughness, but then I need to work out, is this young man or woman good enough to even be at the level they want to be? And be honest with them. Don't lie to someone. Don't bullshit to them. You need to know the truth, whether you have the absolute potential to do it. That can be hard to assess early on, but over the amateur side of it and the training side of it, you're going to assess that. That's another thing. I would have stayed amateur for a lot longer. I wouldn't thought of taking money because there's no money in it. The only thing that makes you a professional is you get paid money. It doesn't mean that you do it for a job. So don't think that you're going to get enough. I'm going to turn pro and I'm going to make thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. It's not going to happen. Most fighters in Australia, like myself, years ago, probably even now, would be lucky to get $1,000 a fight. It might have got up a bit, but either way, you're not going to make a living off it in those ranks. So you need to assess, are you good enough to be the level you're going to be? Okay? Very, very few people are good enough. I'm sorry if that offends you, but that is the truth. Don't kid yourself. It is a very small percentage of people that have the skills and they have the drive and the discipline and the dedication to get where they want to be. They think they do. Everybody wants to be a fighter until they're punched in the face. You take the first punch in the face and things can change. So that can be a good way to find out whether this is a career for you. But like I said, training differently, training a lot smarter, taking less damage, and assessing whether you are actually good enough to do this sport and get to the level you are. If you're not, and you're not even close, my honest advice would be choose a different sport. Go elsewhere. Get tennis balls hit at you. Hit golf balls. Make a lot more money. Do another sport. Fighting is not for everyone. Don't underestimate the damage you take. You may watch fights and watch MMA and watch kickboxing and not see any blood at the end and think, oh, there's no damage in that. It's not that bad. What you don't see is the trauma afterwards. People sitting in change rooms with the damage, the bones broken, or just the head concussion. We all know about CTE. If you don't know about CTE, you should, as someone who's going to potentially fight. Okay? A trauma to your brain through just constant bashing to your head is not good. Do I believe I have memory loss from it? Absolutely. I've been tested back home in Australia. My short-term memory is very bad. It's a lot worse than it used to be. I'm only 47 years old. So I'm giving you this advice for that. Think very seriously whether you really want to be doing this sport for the right reason. Are you doing it for the right reason? And are you good enough to get where you want to be? If you want to just play around with it, stay in the amateur, pads, big gloves, bit of headgear, different rules, no elbows to the head, way less trauma to the head, okay? Fine, have a little dabble in that. But if you're thinking about turning professional, this is where you start assessing seriously. Am I good enough to make that next step? Can I survive? Can I make a career of this? If you can't and you've got the brains to do another job that's going to make you a lot more money, guys, do that, please. Do that. I'm not trying to talk people out of fighting, but I'm trying to tell you the honest truth. You need to weigh up the potential of how good you can be, okay, what you can do from the sport, financially more than anything. You don't do it for any other reason. You don't do it for the fun of it. If you're doing it for the fun of it, stick to the amateur, have a few play around, and that's fine. But if you're going to turn pro, it gets a lot more serious. So I ask you to assess yourself whether you really should be doing the sport and be honest with the answer. You may not like the answer, but you need to be okay with it. And then if you're okay with that, either way, whichever it is, I say go your hardest. But dedicate yourself. It needs to be an obsession. You cannot do fighting. You either fight or you don't fight. You need to commit 100%. So hopefully this bit of advice helped you guys out. For any young people or anyone who's looking to get into the sport, please take it serious from someone who... I've never been to the UFC and fought, but I've fought under the same rules many, many times, and I know how serious it is and the damage you can take, and I know what it takes to get in a cage. It doesn't matter if I was as good as these guys. I know what it takes and what commitment it is, so I need you to understand it and take it really seriously. I hope this helped you out, and thanks for watching the video. And please share. Give it to other people that you think know we're going to get into the sport. Share it with them. Let them watch it and take it in and think about it before they commit to doing such it is traumatic sport on your body. Have a think about it. Cheers, guys. Bye.